Hi guys, it is me Bishop J from Camp Gilgal TV. Today it is we're podcasting on our Bible study 101 that we are continuing on our Old Testament survey. We are still in the book of First Kings, in the book of First Kings, part 2. Today it is part 2 of the book of Kings. I will continue on the note that I have built up for you guys, and when you read the book of Kings for you to understand. Last time I've stopped on point 4. Now I will continue from point 5 of the note. It is this: man cannot cannot govern himself because he does not know himself and has no power to change himself. This is one of the fallacy man always has. Men think that he can change himself. No, man can't change himself because man does not know himself who he is. We just know out for what we are. And tomorrow we are even shocked of who we become when something new or something else come out of who we are really are. That is in man. That's why man cannot govern himself, because he does not know himself. Number 6 is God does not leave mankind without a witness for God and against human sin. This is always the case. In every generations, God does always provide a preacher and a prophet and an apostles and an evangelist, a pastor, to arrive to bring mankind to a right directions. And you who are now watching this video, you are also called to be in the right directions. Number 7 is God interfere and intervene in the human affairs to cause man to stop, look, to cause man to stop, to cause man to look, to cause man to listen to God by defeat and victories, famines, and fire and other miracles. God testified to both Israel and Judah. Number 8 is the Solomon reign is the type of glory, power, and the peace of Christ's millennium reign. That the Solomon reign is a type of all these things, because during Solomon, the Israelites, they were in a prosperous years, and they really enjoyed prosperity and peace during Solomon times. And Solomon also is a type of Christ. He represents himself as a prophet, he was a priest, and he was a king. As Christ is also having these 3 ministries: prophet, priest, and a king. He was a prophet when he was in Israel and before his death, and he was a priest even when he died. That's what he did as a priest. He was himself a priest and a lamb in the same time, and then in heaven he is a priest praying for us, or praying for us to God, and he is a king. When he will come back in the second coming to establish his kingdom, he will come as a king, not as a lamb. 9, the last note is Elijah and Elisha remind us of the 2 ministry, the two witness of Revelation, Revelation chapter 11. That you will see that Elijah and Elisha are reminding us of those 2 witnesses. Now, something I want to say here, and note that is in my things that I put it for you. The peace that Solomon enjoyed was because of his name. Remember, his name means Solomon, which means peace. Solomon means peace, and he enjoyed peaceful time and peaceful moment in his reign. And that also is also for his name. And he was in his capital city was Jerusalem, which also mean peace, which also mean peace. And that also, those two things go together. Solomon, Jerusalem, peace, and he enjoyed the best peace of his moment. There was no war during Solomon's reign. And also, mostly, it is because of his father David. Because of his father David, who conquer all the surrounding neighbors of Israel and make them under, he subdued them and make them to pay taxes to Solomon. And when Solomon raised up the fear of what his Solomon's father was, he made him also to have a peace. These, you need to know that, and you need to understand that. Now, but the last point is the chapter content. The chapter content. I'll be too fast because I don't want to take too much time of you. Chapter 1 is the rebellions of Adonijah put down and Solomon made king. Chapter 2 is David charged to Solomon and the death of King David. Chapter 3 is God appear to Solomon and ask Solomon what you want. Solomon asked God for wisdom and to judge God's people, which are Israelite. That we see theophany of God being manifested in the life of Solomon for the first time. God appeared to him. Chapter 4 is the safety and the security of all Israel during Solomon's reign, fame of his wisdom through all the nations. Chapter 5 is Hiram, king of Tyre, helped Solomon to provide with material of building the house of God at Jerusalem. A gentle king called Hiram, who was of great help for the building of the house of God in Jerusalem. Chapter 6 is Solomon takes 7 years to build the magnificent house of God at Jerusalem. It took 7. You know, those who love to play with numbers, I always tease you on that. 7 is the number of perfection. 7 is the number of the rest. And it took 7. After 7 years, God rested and the temple was finished and the work in the temple started. After 7 years and a perfection and the perfect years. Chapter 7 is Hiram helped Solomon cast the great brazen pillar and the brazen furniture for Israel. Chapter 8 is dedication of the house of the Lord and Solomon's great prayer. That is chapter 8. And God appeared to Solomon second times with message of promise. That is chapter 9. God appeared to Solomon for second times with a message of promise and warning. And Solomon sent a navy to offer for God. And then chapter 10 is when Africa meet God. When Africa meet Solomon. I can say that. When Solomon and Africa met together and they even mixed together. Chapter 10 is Queen Sheba visits Solomon. Further description of the magnificent and the splendor of Solomon's kingdoms. Chapter 11 is Solomon depart from the Lord and the Lord depart from Solomon. And Solomon has 700 wives and 300 concubines, and he joined them in worshiping their God through their prophet. And then through the prophet Ahijah, God select Jeroboam to reign over 10 of tribes. Now here, we'll start jumping for sake of time. Chapter 12 is the kingdom divided, 10 tribes under Jeroboam to stay with Rehoboam. Jeroboam make it to carve for Israel, to worship, to keep them from going up to Jerusalem and back under influence of Rehoboam. Now, I will jump some of the chapter here for you for the sake of time. Chapter 17 is the beginning of the ministry of a God prophet Elijah the Tishbite. He is fed by ravens and then fed by a widow. That is Elijah. Chapter 18 is God's victory through Elijah over the prophet of Baal on Mount Carmel. Now, we see chapter 19 is Elijah flee from Jezebel, wife of Ahab. God ministered to his weary and discouraged prophet, that is Elijah. Now, in chapter 22, which is the last, let's take chapter 21, and which is before the last chapter, is Ahab by Jezebel killed Naboth and secure his vineyard, which Ahab converted. God pronounced judgment on Ahab and his house. And then chapter 22, the unholy alliances between Jehoshaphat and Ahab, the valiant stand of the faithful prophet Micah. And this is the table content of the book of the first Kings. And next time we will see the second Kings and what is inside there. Let the Lord bless you and let the Lord keep you safe in this moment of pandemic. And I pray that God must always protect you and your family. Whatever you do out there, do it safely and let the hand of God always be upon you. I love you all. That was Bishop J from Camp Gilgal Bible Survey. God bless you. Bye.